So this panel is titled Are Ecosystems, Data Centers, Cloud, Telcos Architectures and Infrastructure Evolving Fast Enough to Support AI and API Opportunities? My name is Adam Mackenzie. I'm a senior analyst at Omdia, covering network APIs and telecoms CapEx and OpEx. I'm joined by Björn, Minde, Djordje, Radovic, and Govender. If you'd like to each introduce yourself, Djordje, would you like to kick us off?
Yes, of course. Thank you, Adam, for this opportunity. My name is Djordje Radovic. I am core operations and services director in Telekom Srbija Group, one of the largest Southeast Europe telco group, and responsible for operations end to end. So I'm really happy to be a part of this panel and try to say something regarding this very important topic in our industry at this moment from telco point of view.
Yes, hello, I'm a director at the Research Institute in Sweden, focusing mostly on data centers and edge. I have been in the telecom industry since '85, built that first, were part of the team that built that first GSM system at Ericsson. So long history there, but now I'm focusing on more distributed computing.
Thanks, Adam. So I'm Predhayen, Govender, Pre for short. As of this morning, I've left the telco industry and moved into the fintech industry, as in the subdivision of or subsidiary of MTN, which is more mobile fintech. So for the last few years, served as the head of security operations for MTN, and then I'll be joining fintech as the chief infosec officer as of today. So yeah.
Well, congratulations. Okay, so kicking us off, the first question, what are the biggest opportunities emerging for telcos around AI? Djordje, if you'd like to take this first, and then anyone who, we can all answer and just add on if you have more points or anything to discuss.
Yes, of course. Thank you, Adam. So first of all, I try to emphasize that during this conversation, of course, that AI, from my point of view, it's not some kind of evolutionary path for telcos, but this is something that is, I suppose, it becomes some kind of revolutionary thing in our industry. I suppose that we can, during this panel, can highlight the main things that we think will change everything. And in that way, if we are talking about some kind of biggest opportunities for telcos, I think that this lie in specifically network automation end-to-end, some kind of predictive maintenance. We are talking a lot about analytics. So nowadays we are witness of some kind of predictive analytics, but I think that we can talk nowadays as well something about prescriptive analytics. So it means that some kind of system, AI generated, can tell you what to do based on some data that is analyzing, for example, that way. And something that is very important, I think, it's some kind of monetization of everything that we can come across in the future. So the biggest, I suppose, the biggest opportunity for telcos now could be some kind of hyper personalization. So you can, using AI, enhance something that is very important to telcos, like customer experience, and try to use some kind of predictive recommendations and automated customer support. Nowadays, I suppose we will discuss during this panel as well, we are using some kind of AI chatbots in order to find a way how to raise this customer experience at the upper level. On the other hand, I see a great opportunity in security domain as well, because AI-based anomaly detection can identify threats and fraudulent activity in real time. Nowadays, when the nature of potential security fraud is changing a lot, you cannot defend yourself based on some kind of traditional approach. We will talk during this panel as well about APIs, like some kind of exposure of traditional telco infrastructure to developers, okay? But when you combine AI with APIs, some application programming interface, I think it's sky is the limit if we are talking about some kind of specific offer to the existing customer base and maybe to new customer base as well. Nowadays, we are talking about IoT as Internet of Things. So in that way, I think it will be very big shift towards some kind of non-human customer base, because we have to operate in a human and non-human environment, connected not only humans but things as well. So based on those facts, I think that some kind of scalability that we can produce in the future using AI models, AI foundation, can be a great opportunity for contemporary telcos.
Or do you see the same kind of opportunities? Do you agree?
Well, I see a completely different opportunity. There is a lot of new devices coming out with limited compute capabilities. I'm just thinking about the glasses. I bought the Google Glass when they came out at least 10 years ago or something like that, and very limited, and still it didn't work really. But today we see new type of glasses coming, and they are still compute limited. They have very nice screens and cameras, etc. But the compute is limited, and the telcos has a great asset, and that's all the sites. And that's a big opportunity for inferencing of compute limited AI inferencing for compute limited devices. So that is a big opportunity. We haven't seen those type of applications yet. So support application developers to do this would be a great opportunity. But it's a big challenge as well.
But just to comment a little bit, yeah, I think agree as well to a certain extent. I think there are many opportunities for enhancing customer experience. With things like AI chatbots. I think there was mention as well around predictive maintenance needs, which is also quite important. In cutting down costs for maintenance, understanding when our change windows should go in, and trying to optimize and lean out the processes. We spoke about AI-driven automation as well, how we can streamline things like billing and network management. But I think maybe being the InfoSec guy, just to bring some of the conversation back to the InfoSec side of things, I think there are quite a few opportunities for leveraging AI within the security space as well, the cybersecurity space. But I think there's also the adverse side to it as well, where attackers are now looking at leveraging AI themselves to carry out things like automated attacks, DDoS attacks, ransomware as a service. So these are things we need to be cognizant of and be able to defend against. But I think even with AI-driven analytics, there's the challenge of false positive rates or false negative rates that we need to take into account. So pros and cons of the InfoSec side that we need to be cognizant of and try and manage as best as we can.
Great, thank you. So then moving on to the kind of network API side, I guess the other half of this question. So what do you guys see as the main opportunities arising in network APIs? So Pri, if you'd like to kick us off on this one.
Yeah. I'll do that. I'll just keep my camera off, if that's a bit easier. So yeah, I mean, we want to provide our partners the best opportunity to leverage our infrastructure and services, ultimately, and try and benefit off the innovation that could result from that. From an API monetization perspective, we could look at offering API as a paid service to our third parties, where third-party or external developers could leverage our network capabilities to improve their services or develop new apps. We also have opportunities around improving customer service, like I mentioned, both for us and for our partners. So offering more personalized services around things like usage or location data, things like location-based marketing. We've also got potential opportunities through strategic partnerships in which we could look at expanding our market reach and accessing new customer databases, as well as enhancing our service offerings. So through these strategic partnerships, offering a more comprehensive solution to our customers. And then looking forward, I think companies should explore potential future opportunities in the IoT space, particularly from a telco perspective, looking at leveraging cloud capabilities and 5G, pushing out 5G. So in these kind of scenarios, we want to look at leveraging network APIs for external developers to build new apps on top of our network. So for things such as smart home automation, we could allow users to manage their home devices through our network in real time, combining internet, mobile, and IoT services. And then if you look at other sectors as well, healthcare sector, one would want to see something like an API being used to securely transmit data from a patient's wearable device to healthcare providers in real time, and benefiting from that. So again, we want to ensure that we derive the most value from our networks, data, and infrastructure, and that's where the opportunity lies.
And Djordje, do you feel the same as from your perspective, similar things?
Well, okay, yes, of course, I can agree with all of that was said, but on the other hand, I mentioned as the answer to the first question, okay, that I can see a lot of opportunity in security area. And nowadays, I think that traditional telcos can use, for example, their own mobile networks as some kind of secure authentication layer. And it means that we can replace passwords as some kind of thing that we used to have nowadays. On the other hand, having a great amount of APIs can expose your infrastructure because you own your infrastructure nowadays, and this is a great opportunity, I think, for telcos. You can expose to some kind of new services, and they mentioned during this panel. It means that you can connect with many different business domains. Okay, so for example, B2B or B2C as well. So something that I can see a huge opportunity for telcos is some kind of quality on demand APIs. For example, enterprises can dynamically request specific network conditions. I don't know, some kind of ultra low latency for augmented reality, virtual reality, guaranteed bandwidth for autonomous vehicles nowadays, etc. But again, I think it was more than 2 decades, maybe when former CEO Steve Ballmer introduced Windows. I don't know which number it was, but it was before 2007. I think it was 2006 or something like that, when he said that the future of Windows will be, and during that conference, he mentioned, I think, 14 times developers. I think we are, as a telco industry, in this situation now. So if we are talking about some kind of potential APIs, if we are talking about real future of telcos, I think that it lays on the developer side. So having a great amount of good APIs can help you to organize all of those some kind of new values and try to create, maybe, why not, some niche domains in the same industry we are calling now, I don't know, ICT or something like that. But my vote goes to developers, and I think that it is a bright future for telcos using APIs as well.
Great. So we've outlined some of the opportunities around AI and APIs. So Tor, I guess my question for you would be, how ready are telco ecosystems to support these AI and API-driven innovations?
Not at all. Not at all prepared. There is nothing there. Because I half agree with the previous talkers about the APIs. Sorry to say, but I would like to use the word innovation before the word monetizing, because the monetizing word has been dominant for at least 10 years in the telco industry and has limited the innovation. We always think first how we're going to earn money before we even know what to offer. So innovation first, and then monetizing later. And that's a tough pilsner to drink, tough thing to drink. And that's why the telco industry ecosystem is not ready for this. There is no developers interested in APIs for the network. They don't know what to use it for. There is no possibility for them to innovate. We need to offer them this and then think about innovate so they can innovate. So yes, developer, but they need to innovate and they need to get the possibility to innovate. And we have been limiting them for a long time. They don't need the network right now. They don't know what to use it for. But the telcos, they need the developers. If we understand that we need the telco industry needs the developers, but the developers does not need the telcos, then we are at the right thought how to go from there, how to get them to understand how they can use the telco networks. And I think the biggest asset is the sites where we could offer something. Okay, combine it with some APIs, but not think about monetizing first. First, let them innovate. That's my thought.
So I find that interesting because I feel like you often hear almost the opposite said of telcos sometimes has a problem with creating technology, for the sake of technology without necessarily solving a business need. And that sounds like a kind of different angle. I see quite often things saying, we come up with all this great tech in the industry, but what's the exact business application? How can you monetize that? Which is, almost looking at it from the opposite angle. Djordje or Pre, would you like to jump in? Feel free to jump in whenever you want.
Yes, of course. Thank you, Adam. But I want to add something because when we are talking about some kind of monetization, we are witnesses nowadays that a lot of telcos all around the world invest in 5G networks. Okay, it's another G in mobile network evolution. Okay, but on the other hand, even though some of them invested a couple of years ago, we cannot see some kind of it was called the killer application nowadays. Okay, so they have to invest a lot of money, a lot of capex into this evolution. Okay, but on the other hand, their profits decrease, and something that is very important to say at this moment, I think that the main competitor to the existing telcos are not other telcos, but hyperscalers, some kind of maybe startups. Okay, so some companies that can be, how can I say, can be organized only around some kind of idea. It means that okay, they innovate a lot in this field, and I can agree that monetization has to be some kind of consequence of great innovation. Okay, nowadays we are talking about AI startups ecosystem, and for example, I would say in front of my company, we invest a lot in this segment, meaning that we created some venture fund and try to find a way how to find maybe some kind of, we call it, of course, unicorn in the future in order to use a lot of those AI capabilities to create some kind of new value. On the other hand, when we are witnesses that we have some kind of existing infrastructure, and we need to find a way how to create some kind of smart investment in the future regarding return of investment. Okay, ROI factor, for example. And in that way, I think that converting this existing strategy, like investing a lot in the existing infrastructure, we have to analyze how to be AI first company. For example, we are talking a lot about the cloud, and I really think that all of those core functions will be moved to some kind of cloud, private, public, or something like that. So something that nowadays can be an advantage on telco side will not exist any longer, because everything will be somewhere in the cloud, and I suppose that hyperscalers can be a great competition in the future, because they nowadays they have a lot of AI resources. They think in some other way than telcos. So I suppose that we have to find a way how to deal with all of those challenges in the future. But I can agree that monetization, it's not the first, but it has to be some kind of consequence of innovation. But nowadays, we cannot see, unfortunately, in this telco industry, some kind of lucrative services.
So
can I jump in here shortly
Sure.
as a response? Been in the telco industry already from 85, seen some visionary people in the telco industry. We need some new visionaries in the industry. I remember being at the conference 87 where the Ericsson CTO held up a piece of wood that we had made. A piece of wood with 100 grams, 100 watt, 100 everything. And he's saying, this is the future. Beyond 1990, we're going to have these type of phones. At that time, we had this big, huge, carry along things. And everybody was saying, no, we need to monetize that big thing. We need some new visionary people into the industry that can think out new things and show the way. This is the way we're going to go with the telco industry. That's my view.
And Pre, just check if you want to jump in there.
I think good points made on both sides. But yeah, I think in the grand scheme of things, I think that there's definitely opportunities for these types of things. It's just the change of mindset that's kind of needed as well, and us marketing, us as telco marketing, to the correct audience to make sure that we can have these kind of collaborations and the developers making use of these. So yeah, but I think enough's been covered on this topic.
Sure. So Djordje, you touched on this a little bit, but how is your company positioning to take advantage of these opportunities? You kind of touched on it's something that you're considering.
Okay, as Thor said, we are aware that we have to have some kind of visionary people, of course, in our industry. So in that way, I think that first of all of those telcos have to change their own mindset, and it means that as we discussed about a specific company like mine is, we are trying to find a way how to create some kind of strategy in the future that will be some kind of combination or interleaving between pure hyperscaler strategy and telco strategy as well. We can see that we have to find a way how to reskilling our existing workforce, and we started some kind of program in our company, in order to find a way how to educate more people in this domain, because it means that I can agree, of course, with Thor. When you follow some kind of strategy, you will always say, okay, monetization, but what about innovation? Okay, on the other hand. So in that way, we try to reskilling our talent pool in order to create some kind of good foundation for the upcoming period. If we are talking about customer experience, which is our focal point when we talk about the profit, why not say that? Because we are in the market. We started some kind of AI chatbots, as I said, implemented in our call centers. Contact center, we call it contact centers. So and try to use all of those LLMs model in the market in order to create some kind of human-like conversation between our customer base and our company, of course, in that way. If we are talking about the infrastructure, we implement a lot AI in many different domains in order to support our decision-making process. Now I can say so. In the future, we see something that can be known as self-optimizing network. Use a lot of different data from many different sources, try to analyze that and try to predict some kind of potential behavior in the future. Something that we noticed, a lot of companies like ours, who's in this area, use a lot of historical statistical data in order to create some kind of future steps, and it's completely wrong. We notice that it's completely wrong because it means that nowadays the pace of changes it's pretty high, and something that will happen in the year from now will be more changes than a decade before. So in that way, at first we try to, how can I say, change this mindset in many different areas. I mentioned cloudification as well. So we try to build our own data centers, AI-driven data centers. Nowadays, we are witnesses that using CPUs, it's not enough. You have to convert to use GPUs from NVIDIA or something like that in that way, in order to create something new. And maybe the most important thing is that we are using some specific AI models in order to create something that we internally call smart CapEx, capital expenditures, but we try to find a way how to invest in some kind of specific areas in the future and try to have a better return on investment. It's of course easier to say than done, but there are pretty different areas, different intentions in many different ways in order to create some kind of AI landscape. But something that is, I suppose, most important that we are aware to need to change everything, or maybe the existing business model, and try to convert it into something that is AI first model.
Sure. So it sounds like, mindset and almost this kind of cultural thing is one of the big challenges. Tor, could you maybe elaborate on some of the other biggest challenges? Do you think, maybe technical, strategic, economic, or even regulatory?
Yes, I think the biggest challenge is strategic. I believe that there is need for some new bold money into the telco industry that can take on the challenges, because if we're gonna do all these investments that are needed to take the telco industry should take a big chunk of the game. We cannot use the money we are creating every day. We need to get some new bold money in there, because we are experimenting right now with Telia in Sweden. They have an innovation network that they have created together with Ericsson. So it's the Ericsson not released yet equipment there. And we are putting edge computing GPUs at very high density, high performance computing in close to the cell towers with local breakout, and trying to see and offer that to a number of companies involved in the project, developers. And what we can see is that it will be a big opportunity, and someone needs to invest in that type of hardware. And the question is telco getting this new bold money, or is it going to be the hyperscalers that do this? Even if it's we have this situation now, maybe we will have European like hyperscalers that can do some AI machine learning cluster investments close to the cell sites to enable new types of applications we haven't seen before. So that, I think, the strategic challenge to really do this and take a strategic decision to do something new is the big challenge and the big opportunity. Technology is there. Of course, the economy is, but if you take a strategic decision and get the new money on board, then you can do it, because it's enough of money out there. It's a lot of money going into the IT infrastructure, data center industry right now. A lot of new money, and why can't the telco industry get that money, part of that money to do new investments? I like any startup or any co-location provider, anyone that right now are investing in new infrastructure for new services. That's my view.
Sure. Yeah, I suppose it can be tough for some telcos positionally to kind of justify another big investment wave when a lot are still trying to eke out higher ROI from their 5G investments, especially with kind of weight of average cost of capital quite high around the world compared to the last decade or so. But no, interesting perspective. This brings me on to the next question. So this one's for you, Djordje, of how telco strategies compare with those of hyperscalers in AI and API adoption, especially as, as Tor mentioned, there's more of a kind of convergence of the space that these companies are operating in. How do you see the strategies compare?
I think nowadays that converting the existing old-fashioned telco strategy into something that is AI-based, it's not an option. This is something that is mandatory. And I'm a little bit afraid about some companies that are not aware of this moment in the industry. It will have a big problem in the future. The main reason for that is, I think I already mentioned that the main competitor for telcos are not other telcos. Nowadays, all of us are a little bit afraid of implementing AI and losing the existing jobs or something like that. But the truth is that your main competition is another, I can say, human being who uses AI right now. So in that way, I think that when we are talking about hyperscalers like I don't know, Amazon Web Services, Google Cloud, Microsoft Azure, or something like that, they are offering AI services across their own stack at this moment. Some kind of foundational models, AI chips, APIs, software as a service-based AI tools, etc. So they build their own proprietary AI infrastructure, including some kind of AI accelerators as well. So if we are talking about APIs and hyperscalers, they are using APIs at the core of their strategy. So enabling businesses to integrate AI analytics and automation into application without deep expertise. So they are focused on low code nowadays, no code AI-driven API services like, I don't know, Microsoft Power Platform or something like that. So in that way, I can see that telcos are slower in AI and API adoption due to their previous investment in legacy infrastructure. And something that I think we need to emphasize during this conversation are regulatory constraints in telco industry. It's not the case in the how can I say, in the part of the market where hyperscalers are dominant, but it's the case in telco domain. So something that I would say that are key differences when we compare hyperscalers and telcos at this moment, because the existing business model of hyperscalers is AI as a service, cloud-centric. And on the other hand, we have telcos who are struggling to compete with them and try to monetize via network services. If we are talking about edge AI as well, on the side of hyperscalers, we have, and we can see AI-driven edge computing. And on the other side, we see a lot of telcos focused on 5G and latency reduction and etc. But the main differentiator, I think, nowadays, it's the adoption speed. Because if we are talking about hyperscalers, we can see rapid market-driven orientation. And on the other hand, we can see nowadays slower and regulatory challenges on the telco side. So I think that unless telcos embrace open APIs and AI services at scale, I think they risk becoming infrastructure providers rather than digital innovators. and it's not the case for them in the future. But again, I want to underline those regulatory constraints, because telcos are operating in some kind of very how can I say, very finite part of the market, and they are struggling not only a lack of innovation, but I think that they have some kind of problems that at this moment hyperscalers do not.
Okay, so thank you for that. We've only got 2 minutes left, so I'm just going to ask Pri one more question. So, Pri, in your view, what do telcos need? What still needs to be done to unlock the full potential of AI and APIs and telcos? I only have 2 minutes left, so yeah.
I'll try and be as succinct as I can. Look, I think a lot of the points have been covered and discussed. But I think that there's some specific areas that we need to focus on. So I think infrastructure modernization being one of them. So enhancing the cloud capabilities, as the team have mentioned, looking at concepts like building robust processing capabilities, looking at things like edge computing, and then also accelerating 5G rollout to support IoT and AI in the future. We want to make sure that we can get the most out of our AI workloads. I think the other thing as well is around API standardization. So focusing on simplifying the integration for our developers. So that's the developer journey. I think that Tor was speaking about making sure that developers can consume the services that we provide. Providing good resources to the devs is quite important as well, so that they consume our APIs. And then on the security front as well, I think Djordje mentioned it a couple of times. So when we build these APIs, we want to make sure we've got strong security protocols built in, authentication, encryption, access control, things like rate limiting, monitoring, and then building interoperability as well into the design. So making sure that these are compatible across different platforms. And then I think from everything that's been said, I think the other thing as well is around culture and mindset for the telco organization. So making sure that they've got a strategy that underpins and supports the goal of leveraging API and then and AI. And I think then lastly, the people and talent management side of things. I think just looking at everything that's been covered, I think that's one thing as well to add in. So making sure you have the right people for the job. I think Tor touched on it a little bit as well. And then, making sure we can upskill our workforce in these different spaces. So AI, API, and data.
Okay. I think that's all we have time for. So thank you very much, Djordje, Tor, and Pri. And thank you, Annie.
Well, thank you, gentlemen.